Hi everybody, I am Brian Mullins the Fox for a Rant Archive exclusive commentary series where I go deep into what has become a creepily effective pipeline in a bad way, not in a good way. Predator hunting was never noble or heroic because the predator was none of anybody's business, nor the grooming or the victim or bait or whatever. That's just like saying Superman would have been a real hero had it not been for Lois Lane. Hypothetically speaking, before we get to the logic of this, let's just say that if Lois Lane became a sex worker right as a villain was out to get her as bait anyway, there would have never been a Clark J. Kent. Because at that point, Clark J. Kent's entire alternate identity as Superman would have been a lie, because Superman isn't real. If Superman were real, he would have been a sexual deviant, or at worst, a predator himself. Welcome to the new Hallmark topic. For me, the first one was and is the roast game, but anything else about that is neither here or there. Let's talk about the pedo hunter to sex worker pipeline.
Hey, I'm Barrington, the current lead admin and account owner of Zoophile Police. If you're watching this video, you're probably considering becoming a pedo buster. Awesome. Pedo busters or predator hunters are a community online that dedicate their time and efforts to removing child abusers and sexual predators from the internet. Many websites like Twitter, Tumblr, 8chan, and Discord have seething and corrupt communities of sexual predators, child groomers, bestiality proliferators, and even necrophiles. They make it our business to get these creeps banned, fired from their jobs, and put behind bars if possible.
I can smell the copium. Hey, it is okay. We don't always get our way, but ease up on that copium.
Now let's get to the practical extrapolation of the logic behind the reasoning of this hypothetical. Number one, why do some minors and young adults want to be bait so bad? For evidence, at least. The reason is because they have someone, preferably a predator hunter, to prop them up to go after them. In the same way that a prostitute that is allowed to have found someone to bang for a lot of money, possibly ripping them off in the process, just the same way predator hunting robs the innocence of minors and young adults. They'd go for the deed no matter what, even if it means being groomed.
Well,
yeah.
I'll leave that to her discretion. Or her other option is, of course, to set up that camera tonight and see what happens.
Yeah, that's one thing I think should happen either way, is get that camera rolling just in case.
That's like a prostitute or sex worker shows evidence of their work because prostitutes call what they do a job, just like predator hunters call what they would rather do a quote-unquote job instead of it being the hobby that it is. The FBI and even CIA don't need to be bothered to show their work, because just like being a prostitute, using minors as decoys is illegal, or in this case, child endangerment is illegal, as prostitution is illegal as well. The FBI and CIA are unreliable resources for predator hunting, even when it's their agents' or private detectives' job. It's not perfect either way. It's not consistent either way. All you have to do is wait for the right time, not make the right time when a crime is committed. Number two, how come people in general consider the act of quote-unquote pedo busting even remotely noble or heroic? Here's the reason. Because nobody worth their salt in existence gives a fuck about the loss of innocence in society, especially the one that's robbed of the minor by predators, predator hunters, and even other bait or decoys alike. It's far more likely none of their business. And they just merely use their complete and utter obliviousness and ignorance to justify why they don't care, in case of those that ask them to comment about it wouldn't pick up that fact. Which again is the fact that they just don't care. Instead of me saying that I don't blame them for their ignorance and complete obliviousness of the fact that they would have given all the fucks in the world had they cared, if they were involved in it at all. But what becomes of the prostitute or the sex worker, ladies and gentlemen? How come they all get a bad reputation when the public are too retarded to not realize that using anyone as bait to go after predators is no different than their work, or going after anyone, like a homeless man or something, for sex that costs them not just their innocence, but all their goddamn money. Because sex with any minor or child is what a predator wants, regardless if the predator hunter helps them get there or not. hereby robbing the innocence of a minor or even child one way or another. And if it's anybody's business enough to call out degeneracy while being a furry like me or a weeb like somebody else, it only stands to fucking reason why they would assume that you are either a predator or pedophile, because no one else cares. Pure manipulation at beyond its finest. Yeah, it outdoes itself as it gradually goes the fuck along. That's why I've said, in this quote here, no one should be that daft or willful enough to unwittingly and implicitly accept the underlying, unspeakable evil that seizing the innocence of minors is morally permissible if it's done in service to some nebulous collectivist predator hunting. I mean, Jesus Christ, people. Really? Did you forget this fucking reason even exists at all? God. Now back to where we were going with this video. That's why predators are controversial topics in general. One topic per individual predator, of course. Why does Lio get to fake it all while using Jordan as bait all along? Someone who's a victim of sexual assault, for example, without having ever sexually abused the bait himself. Unless if it comes out eventually, some way or another, that he absolutely did, or even worse, which has not yet. And I'm not waiting for that opportunity. Because when you learn to become a predator hunter, you prevent yourself from being a kid diddler or rapist when it's convenient, but at the same time, also somehow make it content to the point where you are a predator, but not in a sexual way. Only guilty people hide their past through DMCA, which then initiates the fucking Streisand effect. Innocent ones like me only recognize that it's not as big of a deal as it's cracked out to be when it comes to people blowing my fanfic out of proportion. And finally, number 3, what becomes of the innocence of the minor had it not been for the pedo hunter in quotations? The reason and simple answer is their innocence is gone, regardless if they're bait or not. You don't have to be raped, diddled, adopted, or used as bait to recognize that innocence, just like morality, is neutral, but pain is relative. Tune in for the next part of this series sometime in either January or February, where I get into statistics, the logic behind the numbers, and other interesting bits to go along with that. I'm Brian Mullins the Fox, signing out.